What? Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome. Hey, good morning. What is up? Welcome to Hump Day with Hansen. I'm John Hansen, and it is Wednesday. It is time to go. A little late here. We had a small issue that we took care of, but we are ready to go. And I've been kind of grappling with the content, like what am I doing on this little midweek AM hang, if you will, and answering questions is certainly, I'm here for it. Our subscribers, we love them. Take care of them. Great people. I mean, honestly, great people. I'm not even kissing ass. I legitimately mean it. We have great people. I have great people who have followed me. I feel very honored and flattered. So again, grappling a little bit, like in terms of like what is the actual content, and I really wanted to do like a big picture thing. I'm just struggling to find the time. So I'll try my best to kind of tap into anything that I see that applies to the long term here, because we are out of week 7. So that means that 50% of the regular season is in the rear view. We're halfway there. And we're living on a prayer, hopefully. Not a good song, by the way. Not a fan. But so I'll quickly look at week 8 matchups and offer up, very quick stuff, analysis, whatever, and then we'll answer the questions here that are stacking up here. I see a question from South Jersey. There it is, Ethan. What's up? Good morning. Certainly, the first thing that we should probably hit on, and it was the first question posed, was about DeAndre Hopkins. From our guy J Prog, popped in here early, and DeAndre Hopkins, in case you missed it this morning, it just went down 1 hour ago. My guy Adam Schefter, friend of the podcast, friend of the website, friend of mine, reporting D-Hop traded to the Kansas City Chiefs. I was hoping, I wrote up yesterday in the trade article, Deontay Johnson, because he is in the final year of his deal and he's an unrestricted free agent after the season. And obviously Carolina is a dumpster fire. I would have loved that for Deontay Johnson, but we'll have to settle for D-Hop. And here's the deal. J Prog asked me, what's the deal with D-Hop? Well, I mean, the guy can play inside, obviously. So Juju Smith-Schuster should have known. I've been a Juju hater for years. Nothing personal, although his TikToking is annoying. But he looked so damn good 2 weeks ago. I kind of got behind him, and he lost a prop. He goose-egged everybody, and I think that's it. I think we're done. So D-Hop should plug right into that role, basically, the Rashee Rice role, the Juju role. Sure, he can get open against zone, just like Juju. He's certainly not as quick of a stepper as he was earlier in the career, of course, but they can scheme him open. He can get open. He can separate. So he's going to catch 5-6 balls, probably for 9 yards a catch. But if he scores, now he goes off. So some reinforcements there for Kansas City. I think you can cut Juju. Xavier Worthy, I mean, we all get stuff wrong in this business. We're in the business of failure. I was not signing off on that one, really, Xavier Worthy. Not for nothing, didn't have the greatest week this week in the prop world, although I went 4-1 on Monday. I'm kind of been focusing on the props. I went back and I did look at my draft plan article, and it's pretty damn good. This is one of the better years. There's a lot of dudes who I was not into, and I try my best to be very judicious, and knowing that good players and high picks underachieve every year. It just happens. So I look for those, basically. That is why I wasn't into Worthy. I wasn't into Malik Neighbors. I'm not feeling great about Malik Neighbors right now. Let me see if I can pop up a couple of other examples. These are risky takes in a lot of ways, because I never really doubted Malik Neighbors' studliness, but it's been a really good year. I think if you look back at the article, and if you're on the website, go right ahead. I did some weird things that weird for me. Like, for example, the two running backs I was into in like the second round range were older guys, and I'm not normally into that, but I want to be right. And I was I was very into Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley this year. I almost forgot about it. I was like, all right, that's right. I was pretty damn high on those guys. So very good year for yours truly thus far. I'm not getting cocky, but it feels good because the opposite is getting stuff wrong. I don't want to do that. So I always feel good when I'm getting things right for the people, because I know a lot of people listen to what I say and I want to get it right. I don't want to get it wrong. I do want to give a shout out real quick to my guy Fernando Valenzuela, who I woke up to the news this morning and I knew he was very ill. But man, if you are of a certain age, just an absolute legend. I don't even know what to say. I mean, it was absolutely surreal to be a 12-year-old kid. And I remember talking baseball with my seventh grade teacher, Mr. Lugener. He was a big baseball guy, and we were just amazed at Fernando Mania, starting from the beginning. And I remember staying up late, listening to whatever radio I could get. I always wanted to get one of those transcontinental radios so I could maybe pick up the feed from LA all the way over in New Jersey. That really didn't happen, but waking up at 6 a.m. when he started off the career to listen to the radio, because you just went to bed not knowing what the hell happened. And there were like four or five starts in a row when I went to bed not knowing and woke up just so amazed that, oh my God, he threw another shutout. Started the career 8-0 with 5 shutouts. I knew he was good actually before he even took the mound in 81, because in 80, at the end of the year, in the stretch run, they called him up and he was damn good. I think he was 2-0 in about 17 innings, but absolute legend. We do not win the World Series in 1981 without Fernando Valenzuela, one of my favorite athletes of all time. And as I did tweet this morning, it was just such an incredible ascension of a person and a player out of nowhere that it truly did, to me, teach me a very valuable lesson that anything is possible, basically. And I was always a very ambitious young man. And Fernando Valenzuela gave me a lot. So shout out to Fernando. Rest in peace. Real shame. Far, far too early at 63 years old. All right, let's get into some quick thoughts here on early look at the matchups. I know I spent way too much time on this last time. I can't help myself. Minnesota at LA. Not the greatest schematic matchup per our data on Sam Darnold. I do like Jordan Addison in this game, and we'll see about Hawkinson. But Naylor doesn't have the greatest schematic matchup, but the Rams have been terrible covering the slot. Stafford, actually a positive schematic matchup. We don't know about Cooper Kupp, though. I mean, certainly that is a major story. I mean, is he going to be traded? Is Stafford going to be traded? I do not have any inside information on that, but I will say this. If Kupp does go, Byron Murphy has had his number dating back from when he was a Cardinal, and he is the Viking slot corner. So maybe Kupp in this game doesn't go off. Obviously, you got to start him, but if he goes and if he's active, you're going with him. But I would avoid him, and I'm not going to do it a prop. That is for sure. And then DFS and all that, maybe not this week. But Aaron Jones kicking ass, looking good. We'll see if Blake Corum gets a little bit more involved. I know Sean McVay started to talk about giving Corum a series for every 2 for Kyren. That's what I thought they would do. Maybe after the first month. That was my takeaway. That was my thought, that Blake Corum would carve out that role. Hasn't happened, so I've been incorrect on Kyren for sure. It's probably the worst thing I've said all year. Was Kyren Williams. I wasn't buying it basically at his ADP, and I was very wrong on that one. It happens. And by the way, when it does happen, it's usually a player who's kind of transformed himself and is a different guy. So I'm still stuck in the damn rookie year Kyren Williams, and I can't get it out of my head that, I know he wasn't probably 100%, but he was not nearly as good. Not even close. I know the offense wasn't as good. But anywho, can't get them all right. Philly at Cincinnati. I think we're looking good here just in general, offensively, good matchup overall for Burrow, Chase, Higgins. Higgins getting a little bit more love, but you kind of like how it's kind of like just those two guys lately. Not much else going on here with the tight ends and the third receiver. I think Skinny Batman will come back in this game for sure. So I feel good about Devontae Smith. Baltimore, Cleveland. What do we have here? We have man coverage, and that's what Cleveland runs a lot, and I think that'll probably work out for Zay Flowers. Derrick Henry can't be stopped. Mark Andrews, I think, you feel better about it for sure. Cleveland, it looks like it's going to be Jameis Winston, so that's great for David Njoku. Really good, really, really good. He should go off because all I'm doing is recommending tight ends the last 2 weeks against Baltimore with great results like Cade Otton last week, Zach Ertz the week before that, Nick Chubb. Hey, he had a pretty good role. Feel all right about that. For what it's worth, Jameis did target Jerry Jeudy quite a bit, and he does have a pretty good schematic matchup here. So maybe take a week and see what happens with Cedric Tillman, who I know a lot of people picked up this week. Good dude, Cedric Tillman, solid player. Strictly an outside guy. I remember talking with Cedric Tillman, and I'm like, oh, you play inside at all? He's like, oh, no. I'm like, all right. He's like Cortland Sutton, basically, like outside only. Tennessee, Detroit, man, it's going to be tough for Tony Pollard again. Bad matchup there. Did they bench Will Levis? I don't know. But, Calvin Ridley is it's tough. It's brutal. But, they are paying that man a lot of money. They just let D-Hop go. They did try to get him going last week. He did something. Decent matchup here for Calvin Ridley if you need him. They don't have much else. So, in that regard, maybe Calvin Ridley can get to a place where we can confidently use him as a wide receiver 3 with Mason Rudolph. Jared Goff is absolutely sizzling, on fire. Gets a positive schematic matchup for everyone, actually, including Amon-Ra St. Brown. We were all over that one last week. That happened. And I see here good schematic for Laporta. I'm not giving up on Laporta. I'm just not, because he's too good. And again, I didn't like him this year as a pick at his ADP, but he's too good. The offense is too good. Goff has been too good. This is going to change. So I liked him 2 weeks ago, and he only caught one ball, but it was for a 50-whatever-yard touchdown, so he did come through in that game. I didn't like him last week against Minnesota. It wasn't a good spot, and he didn't do crap. So I'm not giving up on him. We'll see. Did that Jameson Williams suspension actually come down or not? I'm not even sure. We'll find out. Houston hosting the Colts. Anthony Richardson still stinks. You can't trust any of the receivers. Very good schematic matchup for Josh Downs. But here's the deal, and as soon as it comes out, if you are into props, do it. Dalton Schultz over the yardage. Do it. And start Dalton Schultz this week. I'm going up against him in the FPI, which is one of my top leagues, the Fantasy Points Invitational from SiriusXM. And I have horrible luck. So, and I always have, by the way. If you're up against me, you're probably going off. I mean, that's kind of a deal that's been very prevalent in my years. And this is why I got good at it, because I loved fantasy football, by the way. I loved it. First 7 years I played it. Worst luck ever. First year ever I led my league in scoring and didn't win crap. I got notice of the draft 1 hour before the draft. Never heard of fantasy football in my life. 1 hour later, I'm drafting. Led the league in points, didn't win crap. Bad luck. So that continues, but that has made me better at this stuff, because I'm like, well, I can't rely on luck, because that's not happening. I got to actually skillfully create my own luck, which I've done. And Dalton Schultz will go over 50 yards, and he'll probably catch 4 or 5 balls in this game. All I've been doing this year is recommending scrub tight ends against the Colts, and it works every time. Last week was Jonnu Smith. I remember a month earlier, it was Cole Kmet, and he crushed. So this is the greatest matchup for a tight end that you'll find against the Indianapolis Colts. A lot of it is coverage and all that and how they play. Green Bay at Jacksonville. Not the greatest schematic matchup, actually, for Jordan Love, but I don't care at this point. You're rolling with him. I have finally waved the white flag on Christian Watson. I apologize for that. I'm ready to say that Romeo Doubs is the second most reliable receiver in Green Bay. And that's even over Dontavian Wicks. I've always commented on his chemistry with Jordan Love, but I've also called him boring at times, which he kind of is. But hey, boring works when you actually get targeted. Here's the problem with Christian Watson. My man does not get targeted. And I'm told in my ear by our producer, Tommy T-Bone, I'm told in my ear that that's not good. So got to have some targets here. Jacksonville, it's actually a pretty good schematic for Lawrence and Kirk. So I think this will be a good game for fantasy. It's in Jacksonville. You know, Trevor Lawrence has shown he needs a good schematic matchup. And if he does, he's usually better than average, than normal, basically. And I'm feeling that one here in this one. Arizona, Miami, man, I am so sick of Kyler Murray. I can't take it anymore. But this is a pretty good schematic matchup for him and Marvin Harrison. So, you know, I guess we should have some optimism, but it's like pulling teeth. Can we scheme this guy open? Can we scheme him up? You know, quick hitter, quick slant, inbreaker, anything? Apparently not. They stink. Everyone stinks. Kyler does. Drew Petzing, they suck. I mean, they're terrible right now, and it's almost midseason. I don't have much else to say, but this is a pretty good spot for Harrison and Kyler. And actually, by the data, maybe not for my guy McBride. We're going to get Tua back. So I think it's just pick up where we left off. Mike McDaniel, he also stinks as well. No offense, buddy. What are we doing here? You had 2 weeks to prepare for last week's game, and you can't get Tyreek the ball at all. I mean, I know Tyreek, I guess, lost a deep one in the lights or something, but pathetic, just pathetic. So Devon Achane will get a lot of work here. We're looking good there, and just go right back to the well with Waddle and Tyreek and Tua, because apparently they can't do anything. They're done. They're hopeless and worthless without Tua. That's it. I mean, that's where we're at, and that it is played out. It's pretty bad indictment on Mike McDaniel, honestly. I love the guy. Root for him. Think he's the most interesting, unique coach ever in terms of the way he talks and does things. I'll dig it, but, you know, when you're a little quirky like that and then you're doing horribly at your job, it's not a great look. Honestly, keeping it real. Jets, Patriots, you know, pretty good spot here for the Jets to get well. Nothing scary about this matchup, of course. They play a good amount of man, so I think we're looking pretty good here. We're looking good with Demario Douglas, even though the matchup isn't great. Michael Carter has been out, but I could see Demario Douglas getting like six or seven. Well, seven's a lot. 5 or 6 catches. Hey, not the worst spot for Ramondre, and he did play last week, but I'd be careful on Hunter Henry. I mean, Mr. Feast or Famine, he's not a guy that commands the ball there every week. He's more of a matchup guy that they sometimes they like the matchup. They see something and they feed him the ball. Or like last week, Douglas is on the sideline and they kind of needed him. Atlanta at Tampa. I think we're looking all right here. How about Kyle Pitts, baby? He's a thing. The offense, everything is going about as we planned. I wrote in the summer that I'm in on it, pretty much everybody, but I'm worried a little bit about a slow start with Kirky not, you know, playing much in the preseason or any, and that's kind of played out. But Kirky is a professional quarterback. London's been great. I was in on Mooney. Literally everything's going as planned with Atlanta, so that's great. And Bijan looks unbelievable the last couple of weeks. Tampa. Big time buzzkill here. I'd be a little worried about Baker going forward. He's not money in the bank. I do like Jalen McMillan. I know our data charters don't like what he's put on tape, but I've seen him secure passes from Baker, even dating back to the preseason, where I do get a good vibe from it. And I do like Jalen McMillan as a general statement. Another one of the dudes I chopped it up with in Indy that I really liked. Just like the guy a lot. So Well, I think he's going to do pretty well. I think he's going to probably get about 10 points a game. I've always been a Sterling Shepard fan, by the way, from when he came out. And he's going to be in the mix. He could spoil things a little bit for McMillan right away, but, I just don't see Sterling Shepard with an increased role lasting, obviously. But my guy, K. Otten, man, woo boy, he's looking good. He's like a top 8 guy, I think, going forward. I mean, the offense goes inside out quite a bit with Baker, and he's good. I mean, he's pretty reliable. He's not a stud, but he's pretty solid. Saints, Chargers. I mean, I think we have a chance to get Derek Carr back, so we'll see about that. And I think we have a pretty good chance of getting Chris Olave back. Might be a Mason Tipton game, believe it or not, who seems to be playing that Rashid Shaheed role, and he does have a good schematic matchup here. Chargers, I don't even know what to say. They didn't run the ball well last week, so I guess we have to pull back a little bit from J.K. Dobbins. I mean, I do like Ladd McConkey, but not the greatest schematic matchup here. It looks good for Josh Palmer, who I kind of liked last week. He's kind of coming on just a little bit, but nothing truly stands out here. Didn't like Quentin Johnson last week. He was out anyway. It was a moot point, and we'll see if he can return. Bills, Seahawks. It should be a pretty high-scoring game. Ken Walker's been an absolute stud, and you can run on Seattle. You can throw on them as well. Even, Kyle Pitts did very well last week. I like Kyle Pitts in that matchup, by the way. So maybe Dalton Kincaid can actually do something here against Seattle. They have been pretty darn giving against tight ends. How about Fantaclaus? He's been pretty good. And it's not the worst matchup overall and not the worst schematic matchup. And maybe a little Jackson Smith and Jigba this week, although Teron Johnson is pretty good. I guess we'll see about DK. But I'd bring up JSN and Fant just because Buffalo is really, really good guarding the perimeter. So you kind of like to attack inside against them. Carolina, Denver, I mean, bad matchup. Denver's D is good. And, man, Carolina with Deontay, ooh, boy, I was hoping Deontay gets traded to the Chiefs. That did not happen. The good news is they do play a lot of man in Denver, and Deontay crushes man. So schematically, it's looking all right. Jatavian Sanders, I wrote in the waiver wire at this point. I feel like, okay. I mean, I've seen enough to where I'm like, if I'm dying and at least looking for a solid number 2 with a chance, I mean, he's getting what, 5-6 targets every week the last 3 weeks, and Andy Dalton can get him the ball. So not bad there. Bo Nix, wasn't a big Bo Nix guy. Not good schematic matchup, though, I will say. And I've noticed when the schematics look pretty good for him, he actually does a little bit better than his baseline, if you will. Somebody put an APB, though, out on Cortland Sutton because he was MIA last week. I think the Panther D is certainly beatable, but feels like they've improved just a little bit, but they're beatable. I mean, obviously, they're quite beatable. Javonte Williams, I mean, thank God, because I was kind of in on Javonte. Of course, I didn't start him in one league last week because I was worried about freaking Sean Payton. And Estime did get involved and all that, but you're obviously hanging in there with Javonte. He's a little game script dependent, but hey, look what happened last week against an inferior opponent. And now we're in Denver against another inferior opponent, so Javonte should do very well. I did say, though, and right in the trade article, I wouldn't be opposed to moving Javonte this week or after he goes off again this week because he does have a couple of scarier matchups. And I am still worried a little bit about a smaller margin for error with Sean Payton in there. And Sean Payton did not draft Javonte. But my guy Javante's hanging in there, and he's looking pretty good. So I feel all right about that. KC at the Raiders, I mean, what a joke. But Kelsey, you should start. I don't know. I don't even know. I mean, let's go with no in terms of should I start Mahomes. Let's go with no, although he does get D-Hop here, and that'll help a little bit. But, man, the upside is there's no upside. None. There's none, especially against the Raiders who aren't going to do crap in this game. The problem with KC and Mahomes, really, I think Matt Nagy stinks, and I've been saying that for 2 years. But the problem is their freaking defense and running game is so good. That's their identity now. That's their identity. It's not Patty Mahomes. It's Stevie Spags, and apparently Kareem Hunt off the couch 3 weeks ago. That's their identity. Brock Bowers is the Raiders' identity. Unbelievable. I still do like Jacoby Myers as a buy low. Bears, Commanders. Certainly a beatable matchup across the board for Caleb Williams coming off the bye against a DC club that doesn't rush the passer all that well. They're doing better on the back end. They're not getting crushed, but it's a good matchup across the board. And even for DeAndre Swift and Brian Robinson looking pretty good. I don't like the matchup for DC though. And here's another one. I liked Jaden Daniels. I did have him as a guy in my draft plan that, hey, I'm good with it. I'm good with taking him, but I don't want to count on him. And I did draft him once in a team that I did on the draft plan article. I noticed. So I definitely was not out on him, but I was not heavily into him. And I actually listed him as a guy to trade like 3 weeks in a row. And I looked like a jackass because he would crush in September. But here we go. This is the problem. This is it. This is the number one issue. Availability, all that. And now he's in serious doubt for this week. So, maybe he returns after this week. But we did ruin 2 weeks with Jaden Daniels. And just because he returns does not mean we're good now. Obviously, he could still get hurt again, aggravate it, painful injury, ribs, all that. So I'm not a hater at all. I think he's awesome. And he's done tremendous. But I did worry. You got to look at every single angle here. I do. And that was the one angle I was hung up on. And right now looks like it was a viable point to make in the summer. Dallas at San Francisco. And last year, this is when the Cowboys imploded. I think it was week 4 or 5. Everyone thought they were dead. And then Dak was the QB1 after the game, basically from that point on, week 6 on, or whatever. I feel like he'll do a little bit better here. In this one, I feel like it'll be a higher scoring game. Great spot for my guy Jake Ferguson. So I love Jake Ferguson in this matchup. Even though Fred Warner is good, the schematics look good. I think Purdy will bounce back. Debo, it's funny. I was very into Debo all summer, very into him. If you read the article, I drafted him like almost every time. And he is looking good. I know last week he crushed me on a prop. He was ill. But without Ayuk, we're looking really, really good with Debo. We're certainly looking good with Kittle. Should be a good Kittle game. Another good schematic. And we'll see about Jawan Jennings. I think he's obviously going to be very prevalent. I do love Ricky Pearsall, though. This is a guy that you got to wait. You got to be patient. Watch his progress over the next 3-4 games. And if he shows it, then I would feel good that he can ascend further and be a needle mover for you down the stretch. It's a little bit of a big ask. He's just a rookie. But, hey, look at Brian Thomas. He's a rookie. He's out there like a crafty veteran. It could be done, and I wouldn't put it past Ricky. A little bit of a tougher offense, I think, probably to pick up. But I do love Ricky. I think he's the long-term upside guy. Giants, Steelers. Well, here we go again with Malik Neighbors. Good luck. Good luck. Because Daniel Jones, terrible. Steeler D, good. Left tackle's out. Joey Porter Jr., they could shadow coverage it. I'm feeling like Malik Neighbors will have his 4th crap game in a row, basically, without producing. And that was my concern in the summer with Malik Neighbors. I just worried about implosion, and we are inching toward implosion. Maybe not. Maybe we never fully implode, but that left tackle injury is an absolute killer, and we saw it already hurt them and play out. All right, that's all I have to say. I didn't get into enough of the big picture stuff, but I'll try to address as we move along, Thomas. So without any further ado, you can start feeding me those questions from the subs.
100%. The best part is, John, is that the people need to know that you guys do go through all the matchups one by one every Thursday on Matchup Points. So, hey, let's keep in mind that's where you can find it. With the Dodgers mug too. You love that. We do have a super chat here from Troy Black. We'll get to this first. PPR pick 2, Devontae Adams, Brian Thomas Jr., JSN, Waddle McConkey, and should we be flexing Rashad White? This man has had Ayuk, Godwin, and Rashee Rice please stop rostering my favorite receivers. Please. But if we need to pick 2 here.
I love that the desperation. Please. Well, I mean, you're not sitting Thomas. Like,
No.
You're just not. You're just not. Obviously, I mean, there's a guy I did get wrong. By the way, I not wrong, but definitely not right. I think a lot of people are a little shocked by this because I actually talked to people. Let's just say at least one person I heard secondhand close to the situation that thought he was a little bit of a project and a little raw. So we did get that one wrong, but it's fine. It happens. He's in. McConkey, a little early in the week. I mean, I could see McConkey looking pretty good against decent amount of man, although they kind of mixed it up last week. I mean, I think you got to get Waddle right up all in there. So with Tua back, I mean, it's a complete game changer. Complete game changer. Like it's absurd. It is absurd. It's not like Tua is that good, but it's like the difference between Tua and the next man is like the biggest gap that's ever existed in NFL history. All right, so back to the task here. I mean, I don't know about Adams. I mean, he did get a lot of targets. It's certainly a beatable matchup here. Yeah. And then White, well, here's the thing. White, I mean, these teams met earlier in the year, right? Already. And White is going to eat when they're behind, as they were on Monday night, obviously. These guys? Yeah, they met in freaking week 5. Let's take a look at that game real quick. That was a bonanza, right? Let's take a look. I mean, if this damn thing would work, that would be nice. Let me see here real quick. That'll happen in that game. As usual, whenever I'm trying to find something live on the air, I don't find it right away, and it freaking takes forever. I don't know what this. Oh, here it is. That's right, because it was the damn Thursday game. Yeah. I mean, Kirk threw for 509 and 4. Yeah. All right. I'll go White. I mean, a lot of people thought he was dead. Thomas, you were saying to trade for Rashad last week, weren't you?
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like I contributed a little bit and helped because I just look. I mean, one of the reasons I love White is I know they love White. And boom, he starts. Even though we all know Bucky Irving's better. And Sean Tucker, by the way, he's kind of mixing in there. They're working it. I mean, is there a better 1-2-3 punch in a running back room, Thomas, than in Tampa right now?
I like to avoid thinking about running back rooms that use 3 running backs because it makes me feel nauseous in fantasy. But I would argue that I don't know if there are 31 other teams that have 3 healthy running backs to play.
Yeah.
So I think they kind of win by default. Important to note that not only did he start, he also saw 6 targets and are down multiple wide receivers. So get ready for Rashad White, wide receiver 1 in Tampa Bay. Definitely an easy pickup. I agree with you on the starts here. I think that's a very, very good list.
Yeah.
Andrew,
now, would you go Waddle? Would you go real quick? Would you go Devontae over Waddle though? Because I am deliberating on that one a little bit.
So because it's early in the week and we don't know, I would say Adams because he did kind of what I thought he was going to do. He got a bunch of targets. They were where he was getting kind of used was a little short of the field and the timing was off. But
yeah,
Rodgers is feeding this man the ball.
Yeah, I'll go
Adams.
Adams.
That. I will ask you though, is there one player that has made a stronger case for MVP without playing than Tua, given what the Dolphins look like? Like this guy coming back is basically a coming to Jesus moment for every fantasy football player out there. It's basically like getting a bunch of guys off of injured reserve.
I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. Because normally when you have a good, potent offense, the pieces are in place to still have success, if the starting quarterback goes down, for God's sakes. We've seen a million examples of it. Freaking Jake Browning out of nowhere last year produced more fantasy points per game, I believe, than Patty Mahomes. I mean, it was close. And I gained respect for the coaching staff and the system and all that. at that time. I'm like, you know what? This is a good system. If you're plugging in freaking Jake Browning out of nowhere and he's good, that's a good system. Well, Miami's system sucks. It stinks. If you cannot get freaking Tyreek Hill 10 damn yards, your system is broken. I'm sorry. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's like, but I guess we're back. We're back to being good. And honestly, like, it is Tua Tagovailoa's decision. You know, like I know all these people get on their high horses and all that. And like, you know what? Leave it alone. If the guy wants to put himself out there and play, that's his decision. I'm not shocked at all by it. No. I mean, if it were me, I'd probably do the same damn thing. Let's keep it real honest. Yeah. Like if I'm a leading, I'm doing it. I'm playing, right?
Mm-hmm. Nope, 100%. The Miami Dolphins is going to be insane towards the end of the year, I imagine. Legitimate league winners. Andrew Scanlon wants to know, morning, Baker has been my starting quarterback. Wonder if Stafford trade rumors make him a possible streamer along with Darnold. I will say that the Stafford trade rumors so far have been false if you believe in Twitter insiders, as the Twitter insider GOAT, who is like 98% accurate, has reported. His name is Crack Rock, which I think is hilarious, but not Pretty Ricky, because this guy actually gets it right. But he's come out and said that at least the Minnesota trade rumors for Stafford are false. So that's fake. But who trades for a quarterback in week 7? Like, it's just kind of an odd time for that to happen.
I mean, if Darnold, God forbid, broke his leg this week, okay. Yeah, agreed. But you're not doing that. But I like Darnold. I know he's not perfect. There's no doubt. He's not perfect. But as I keep bringing up, it's like, guys, they're through the hard part of their schedule. You know, with the Niners, Texans, Packers, Jets. Now you got, this is glorious. Oh, and by the way, we're going to get TJ Hawkinson back. You got the Rams, Colts, Jags, Titans. So Bears will be a challenge. Bears will be a challenge, but with all the weapons, it's much less of a challenge than for most teams. Cardinals, Falcons, Bears against Seattle, Green Bay. That is beautiful.
Darnold is not losing you a week. Like, his lowest output in a 4-point passing touchdown league is 14.62. That's not bad. Yeah. He's outscored Mahomes almost every week. I'm benching him in Superflex leagues for Darnold. So I think as a streamer, Stafford, though, not for me. I think he can be fine, but I think that's it. I think that's unfortunately. I think that's it. Do you want to hear my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory? If Stafford is going to get traded to Minnesota for Darnold, I think the deal is already in place, but they're waiting till after Thursday night so Stafford doesn't play against them. That's my my deep tinfoil hat living in my basement conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening. I don't think.
No, that would be insane. That's a fantasy dream. That's not a real life. Mark Farmer wants to know, happy Hansen Hump Day. 0.5 PPR, no Godwin, no Rashid, no Debo. It's just going to hurt me every time I read it. Thoughts on a week 8 only desperation start of Njoku, Ferguson, and Hawk, if he can go. Have 2 flex spots and my tight end slot to do it. That is
just put in Njoku and Ferguson and sleep like a baby. That's it. That is it. Like, Ferguson is going to crush. Our guy Stephen O'Rourke gave me a good data point on Ferguson that I will obviously incorporate into the hashtag analysis. Where the hell is it, though? Hold on a second. Let me find this damn thing. It's amazing. Like, I had the damn. Sometimes I copy and paste these damn things out of here. Oh, here it is. San Fran runs the 11th most 2 high coverage in the NFL. Ferguson leads the Cowboys in target share against 2 high, and he averages 2.23 yards per route run, which is solid. San Fran giving up 9.37 yards per attempt to inline and slot targets in 2 high. 31st in the NFL. Ferguson is also 5th in the NFL in play action target rate. San Fran is giving up 9.3 YPA, 7th worst against play action. I've said this from the beginning. Jake Ferguson is smart, savvy. Dak Prescott is a little bit of a slow blinker. So I don't know if he goes through a full progression read. And I often think that he goes through 1.5, 2, and then checks it down to his blankie. So I love Ferguson this week.
Yeah, great calls. Absolutely. Fatty McFatcat says, you know what day it is? It's Wednesday. It is hump day. I love those commercials. Morning Guru, PPR. Need 2 out of these 4 wide receivers to start this week. Your boy Shakir, Flash in the Pan Mooney, Christian Kirk, or Mr. Mac Millen.
Oh, McMillan. Okay. Yeah, you threw me out. I'm like, Matt, who's Mac Millen? Is that a rapper?
There's a Mac Miller, or was.
Yeah,
sorry.
I know.
Shout out
I know.
Mac Miller.
It was. Yeah. I don't know any. I know. All I know is that guy is no longer with us. But was he any good, by the way? I don't know much about him.
Phenomenal.
Seemed like he was. Okay. Yeah. It seems that way. Not my wheelhouse. All right. I do like Kirk here. I know Kirk killed people last week. A lot of people bet the prop that was incorrect, but I mean, geez, they freaking threw it like 18 times. I mean, that is, I mean, I know Lawrence had 20, but 2 of them were BS throws, like throwaways, kind of like at the very end of the game. Like he literally threw it 18 times. So, I mean, I'm screwed if I back Kirk and they only throw it 18 times most of the time. You know, you need a little bit more volume. He did have a 24-yard grab that was nice, and he almost scored. He missed a touchdown by like 2 inches. Right? So, yeah, I'm going to get Kirk in there and Mooney. I like Mooney. I mean,
interesting.
I mean,
okay.
What did the person, how did they describe Mooney? It was like flash in a pan, or
yeah, he had a couple of weeks there where people thought he was on a legitimate run with 17 points, 14 points, then he had 31. But if you look at the rest of the games, he's been pretty much average to below average. Yeah. So it just depends on what type of game. I would say if everyone was healthy and Tampa Bay had wide receivers to play, that game could possibly shoot out. Now it looks heavily favored for the ATL. It's going to be an interesting game. I'm surprised you're not going Shakir here, to be honest. Even with Cup, he had 7 targets. He played his usual role. He had 7 catches for 65. I feel like that's pretty solid against Tennessee, but I get it. If you want the upside play, it's definitely Mooney.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in his last 2 games, he's crushing for what it's worth. He's actually averaging 16 points a game in his last 2, and that's one of them this year. They're giving up 13 yards per reception. That's a pretty big number. They've given up just under 2 touchdown passes a game. That 2 wide receivers. That's a lot. That is a lot. But let me look at Shakir too. And I don't know about Seattle's DBs, whether or not they'll be out there. I mean, that's a little bit of a problem. Yeah, they're giving up 13-7 too. It's similar. Yeah. Let me see if there's a schematic data point on that. It's close. I mean, these are close. I want to get this right here. I mean, that was encouraging for Shakir last week, though. You know, even with Amari Cooper added. No, I'm going Mooney. We have the data showing it's not the greatest schematic here. You get a -2% on Shakir, and I believe with Mooney. Well, actually, it's also a -2%. So I mean, these guys are. This is like a damn coin flip, honestly. I'm gonna go Mooney. Still gonna go Mooney though.
I love it. I love it. Ethan Batterman says, "Good morning from South Jersey. Do you think McCaffrey is worth trying to trade for? I am 4-3."
I mean, it looks like he might return in week 10. Let's take a look at the matchups
They did
here.
say early November.
You know, and I think part of the longevity here is A, making sure he's totally good to go, and B, kind of preserving him, you know, for the stretch run. I mean, they're 3-4, for God's sakes. So
Yeah, I think
then we
saving
have,
him for the stretch run is now. Now is the stretch run.
yeah,
It is here.
yeah. No, he's got good matchups here. He's
Yes.
yeah, he really does. Tampa, Seattle, Green Bay, Buffalo, Chicago, LA Rams, Miami. Of course, Detroit week 17 is nasty, but the good thing about him, McCaffrey, is okay, you're going to run for 39 yards, 46 yards, great, but he'll probably catch 6 balls. So, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, if you could trade from strength, I would endorse that notion.
Yep, agreed with that. Bango Lancer back as always. Morning of the Guru. In a non-PPR, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, or Devonta Smith this week, who scores a touchdown, Guru?
DJ Moore, Skinny B, and McLaurin. Wow. These are all close. Let's take a look at see, now it's still a little early in the week. You asked me this question like on Saturday or Sunday morning. I'm like, boom, like definitive. It does look. I'm going Skinny B.
Love that.
Skinny B.
Love it.
He's trade for Skinny B. That this is not going to continue. Like,
yeah.
I mean, they don't have anybody. I mean, AJ Brown's a beast. Sure. Who the hell else do they have? You can't survive with one guy. I mean, even Grant Calcaterra didn't do crap last week.
No, for sure. Absolutely.
Freaking Jahan Dotson stinks too. Like, I cannot believe how bad
terrible.
he is. I can't believe it. Wow. I mean, he was so good in college.
Can we just, every year, the Eagles GM gets pumped up. I can't believe they let him get away with it again. He makes another ground break. They have a 3rd-round pick for Dotson. Look at the players and wide receivers getting traded. Like, can we just, look, he's a good GM. Team has been solid, but like, let's pump the brakes. Jahan Dotson is booty cheeks. Let's just remember that.
You get the average sharp person who is good in math and business and is a fantasy football fanatic. And no offense to Howie Roseman, I have nothing against the man at all. Seems like a great guy. I've never met him. But the average, if you get a smart person who's up to speed in business and statistics and data and all that and math, who also has played fantasy football for a couple of decades at a high level, that person's going to do just as well as Howie Roseman.
Yeah. Brett Whitefield was joking on the live. I remember this from the live draft show in April, saying that he really just waits for Daniel Jeremiah's last mock draft and just takes consensus every pick. And that's why it feels like he just smashes every draft, because he's just taking the best player on everyone's like mock draft board at his pick. And I'm like, damn, that makes sense, actually.
He's a rankings bitch,
basically. I love that. Bad Wi-Fi, I love that name, says he just got JSN for Downs. Is this a good trade? It's timely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. You answer that one, Thomas. You're the you're the dynasty. I mean, I love Josh Downs. I was high on Downs and not so much on JSN coming out, but I do think JSN is good.
Do you want to hear a depressing stat about Josh Downs? He has never crossed the 6 to 7 point threshold with Anthony Richardson at quarterback. This is a good deal. I don't like JSN. I think he's just kind of a discount PPR spam with most of his targets, aside from one game, coming in 2 minutes and prevent. But no DK Metcalf, and look, both receivers are good enough to put up 6 points. So
is DK
one
out
actually
for
has
sure?
Upside. It's not been said yet. It's a little early in the week, but on a potential with him being at least limited.
Right.
This is probably going to look, their downside is equal and their upside is about equal, in my opinion, so long as Richardson's playing quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard to argue with actual facts.
And I was a big tier down from Downs, or from JSN to Downs plus. We can't get that with with Anthony Richardson right now. It's really sad. Big Blue Fan wants to know, did I miss the D-Hop convo? Yes, but the beauty is on YouTube, as with the like and subscribe feature, you can actually rewind. Guru hit that right at the beginning. I would suggest heading from Twitter and doing that.
D-Hop will average 5/54 going forward. And if he scores, now you're in business.
Right. I have him at about, I actually did the math here at 15.5 points per game while you were doing your game breakdown. It's kind of what I have in my head for DeAndre Hopkins. He'll have a few spike weeks and a few
scores like every third week.
Yeah.
And averages 5 to 54.
Right. Might have a 2 touchdown, 30-pointer somewhere, but I think you're right in line there because Juju is going to be back. So we'll see. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. Actually, I will. Ios. I have no idea. Let me know if I butchered that or not in the comments. How are you feeling about Christian Kirk and Cortland Sutton? Are we up or are we down or are we just looking for a search party?
I mean, I don't know what is going on with Sutton because, there was a moment there in September, let's say, where, he was, the one as we all thought. And he had a couple bad matchups the last 3 or 4 games, and it just kind of feels like he's kind of spiraled downward since then. And really what the deal is, they're working in younger guys. I mean, that's really the problem. Troy Franklin is a good dude. Another guy I chopped it up with at the combine. Liked him a lot. Nice guy, pretty smart. We did mention a couple of weeks ago that he probably gave me COVID because I came back from the combine. I'm like, oh, it looks like I got COVID. And then I said, oh, Troy Franklin had COVID. Oh, okay. Because I spent 15 minutes standing 2 feet away from him. He'll see a lot of J.C. Horn. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, if Sutton doesn't do it this week, I would worry. I would go Kirk though. I think this is a Kirk game against Green Bay. I'm fine with Kirk here.
Yeah, Sutton has 2 good matchups in a row, Carolina, and then just play everybody versus Baltimore. They can't cover the grass they're standing on. So,
I mean, wouldn't you be scared of Sutton after? I mean, he didn't get a target last week, right?
No. That game got out of hand kind of quickly. The game before that, he had 6 targets, 4 catches, 53, and a touchdown versus the Chargers. Against the Raiders, it's 5 with 2 catches and 32. It's kind of a weird game. And then against the Jets, he had 9 targets, Tampa Bay 11. So he's still, when I look at a game like this, I look at this like it is a blip on the radar. It was just something odd. He was still out there. It's not like he was disheveled. He's hugging his teammates after touchdowns. He's still involved.
Right. Okay.
I feel like they might even overcorrect, and this is Carolina, a good team to overcorrect on. I just don't know if when the game decides Bo Nix isn't even going to target one wide receiver too often, it's probably bad for everyone. So I'm
you got to get the ball to Lucas Krull, Thomas.
Yeah,
you absolutely need to get the ball to Lucas Krull. I mean, he commands it. You can't stop Krull. You can't stop Krull. You can only hope to contain that man. And by the way, here's the deal with Kirk. And look, he is week to week. He's a little matchup specific. Why did I get it wrong last week? Because I did like the matchup, and he caught a 24-yarder on that point. But again, they only threw the 18 meaningful passes. So you can't start them against a crappy offense, basically. And this is not a crappy offense. They're at home. They're 4.5-point home underdogs against Jordan Love and the Packers. As we've stated, Jordan Love can throw 2 or 3 tutties in his sleep here this year. So they'll have to throw it on all 4 downs or all 4 quarters.
I agree. We have from Will Rainco, half-point PPR. I can't believe we're at this point, but we're asking Ramondre Stevenson or first-round redraft pick, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah. How many touches did Ramondre get last week? What was it like? I don't know. Was it like 12 or something?
I can have that for you in 2 seconds.
Yeah. No, I got it. He had
my God, 9.
9. That's not so good, Al. I'm going to go with Marvin. I mean, because I kind of like the matchup here for Marvin. I mean, let's, I know it's tough. I know it's tough, but pretty good schematic matchup for Kyler and for Marvin. I'm okay with it. I know it's painful. I'm going to go one more shot here for Marvin in this one. Jalen Ramsey's been playing inside quite a bit. So, I mean, Marvin, I don't think they're going to shadow cover him with Ramsey here. So Marvin should see, well, of course, based on schematics and alignment numbers, we do have it. Maybe they do.
Well, I mean, if you're going to shadow somebody, you have to prioritize Greg Dortch over your Ferrari on the outside, of course.
Well,
but
yeah, I guess we're actually projecting it to change because we're projecting a shadow. So that does, but still, I mean, I don't think you can roll with Ramondre with any confidence at all.
None. He plays
the
Jets.
Yeah,
that's tough.
I know they've got Gibson and he's done nothing, and they don't have anything else. But yeah, I got to see a little bit. By the way, Hasty is
Shout
not
out.
a bad. He's a good receiver, and he caught all 5 of his targets last week, and that kills Ramondre.
Yep, agreed. So I'm with you. I think I'm playing the receiver here. It's just insane that we're asking this question already in his career. That's insane to me.
I did not get Marvin anywhere. I mean, he was on my list just because I knew he was a stud and he's the alpha and all that. But yeah, I didn't get him anywhere. I mean, thank God.
Just statistically speaking, we know that when we get that many receivers taken early, someone is going to bust. We just don't know who. So we're drafting these guys at their maximum outcome. And when it came to Marvin coming off the board first, I was just simply drafting neighbors after him in a I'll take who's cheaper scenario of the two. It's worked out this year. It's failed me in the past, but truly a shame for everyone that drafted him in round 1. A lot of people drafted him at 101 in Superflex Dynasty rookie drafts, Guru, over Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels because they was supposed to be the sure thing. There's no such thing, folks.
Drew Petzing is like a running game guy. Like he's
Greg Roman.
He is doing a terrible job.
He's the Cardinals' Greg Roman. I've said that there's 3 god awful pass game coordinators in the NFL, and it's Greg Roman, Petzing, and Press Taylor. And unfortunately, only one of them is going to get fired soon, and that's Press Taylor, which is very unfortunate. Quadruple Four Steven says, Guru, are we at a point where David Njoku outscores McBride for the rest of the season?
Probably, because Trey McBride cannot buy a touchdown because they don't freaking score many of them. And when they do, they run it in with Kyler or Connor. So yes, I especially if it's Winston. Yeah, we are. Yeah. Njoku is really good, and they did a great job scheming him open last year. Like he was wide open a lot.
Yeah, and he's going to be a target hog down the stretch. So last year, target 9, 15, 9, 6, 8, 14, 9, and 8. Now they're in the exact same situation they were last year with an even worse team. They'll need to throw the ball. Let me tell you, I'm disappointed that the week the Ravens come into town, they get a somewhat functional quarterback. Granted, Winston's not good, but probably better than what DTR and Watson would have provided. So I'm a little sad about that as a Ravens fan. Greg Martinez says RIP Fernando, given the conversation from earlier this morning.
Fernando Mania.
Yes. Chicago D wants to know, Guru, what is your take on Jonathan Brooks as a potential keeper so far this year and beyond? Also, I've been with you on Christian Watson, but I'm starting to waver on my faith. Where are you now?
I've already wavered. I think I've already wavered.
Right.
Yeah, it's very frustrating, but he's just not doing it. Like, it's just not happening. So he's a pain in the ass because we all know what he could do. Like, he could catch 4 balls for $130 and have 2 big long touchdowns at any time. And I'm considering that, but every week, but I have to pull back from the likelihood of that happening. Like, it's less and less likely to happen as we move along here. I don't know exactly what the deal is. Like, why is this man not getting any targets? I know he's not 100%, so I guess that's the answer. But the other guys aren't 100% either, and they get targets. So it's frustrating. But we got that one wrong. I'm raising my hand on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. What about Jonathan Brooks here?
Oh, yeah. My bad, dog.
Are you waiting for the breakout?
I'm a little worried now. I'm a little worried now about, like, they're not going anywhere. Chuba's been really good. I mean, what are they going to look like in a month? I mean, they don't seem to be going back to Bryce Young. So, I mean, you got KC in week 12. That's nasty. Otherwise it looks all right. Tampa, Philly, Dallas, Arizona. I just, at this point, and I actually kind of like Chuba, and I said in the summer, you know what? And I wrote it, I believe, in the Good Vibes article. I'm like, you know what? It's not a bad thought because Chuba is pretty good. Get Chuba, target Chuba in the 9th round, 10th round, and then, or maybe even get Brooks before that to make sure you get him. Because I think he was going off the board before Chuba, but then just get Chuba and roll with that. And if you did that, you're okay. But I think at this point, if you did that, you're kind of like, you know what, Jonathan Brooks, let's wait till next year, dude. Because Chuba's been a volume guy, so I am a little worried about Brooks. I don't think Brooks going forward is going to do as well as I'd hoped in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But long term, I still believe in him. And the offensive line has been pretty good this year. Actually, really good. I mean, how has Chuba done what he's done?
Well, let's face it. He's Canadian. I mean, I think we have that answer. We are built different from what I understand. So,
well, some of these great people that we think are Americans, we all find out later. Jim Carrey, Canadian.
Another great Canadian.
Another one. Who was another Michael J. Fox? Isn't he Canadian?
Yes, Michael Myers.
There you go. Michael Myers.
There's another one.
Of course.
We are kings of comedic actors, really, if you think about it. Ethan says again, assuming no Jaden Daniels, do I go with Geno, Rodgers, T-Law, Jameis, or Russell? That is a heck of a list. We can always check industry leading projections and the guru ranks.
Well, we those aren't up yet. Who do we have higher?
I tried.
Let's take a look. Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't. I'm not bothering with that. Like, by the way, one of the things that has really helped me this year is not staying up all night on Tuesday. I mean, this little live stream was an absolute pipe dream the previous 10 years because I would stay up literally all night doing projections, and I'm not doing that anymore. And that, I'm telling you, it's really helped. Let's take a look here at Chris's projections and see. Oh, he's got Darnold high. All right. Well, he's got Geno first. He's got T-Law kind of buried. Yeah. Well, also, we don't know about DK either.
Right.
I'm going Lawrence.
Okay.
I think Lawrence will be all right. I mean, look, Lawrence is going to have to throw it a lot. He runs, not as much this year, but he runs.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got Evan Ingram back now. He's got 3 really good receivers. Yeah, I'm going Lawrence.
Love that. Greg Martinez, drop Juju or Ford?
Yes. Juju.
We're dropping Juju
Doo-doo.
outright? Okay.
Doo-doo Smith-Schuster. Yes, he's doo-doo.
John Vandegrift wants to know half-point PPR. I need 3 Waddle, London, Kirk, Downs with Debo. He says, Al, thanks.
Well, certainly London, obviously, is in there every week.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Kirk against Waddle is, that's a tough one. That is a little bit
in a
of
half
one.
point.
Yeah, so, okay, let's go Waddle there.
I agree. Well, he only needs one. If he gets Tua back, I'm sure they're going to be trying to get their receivers to 1,000 yards after this horrendous start. So I am, I'm on that. Sorry, I'm just trying to read some of these to get us going. Oh,
How many more do we have?
One. Quite a few here, Guru. So I'm looking for, look, if people are going to wonder why their question's not getting asked, if you've asked multiple, I am going to go to some people that have asked only a few. So Chicago D says, can we light Chris Godwin candle? I mean, we might have to.
Oh man, what a buzzkill.
I know, contract year as well. Now it's more damage than just a dislocated ankle. It is over for our guy Godwin. So
I don't know how many people out there. I don't know how many people out there use our or my top 200 list. But there were a number of crushers out there that I know I had over, well over the ADP, like Godwin's. And again, I try and place a guy. If a guy, I don't want to go like 30 places over the ADP because at that point maybe you overpay for him. So I had him at 60. His ADP was 75. So to me, that's like, okay, that's a guy that you're taking because I've got him around over the ADP. So hopefully a lot of people got him and hopefully enjoyed those points. But man, it is a buzzkill that it's over now. Terry McLaurin is another one here, and I was worried, I was scared to death. But ADP of 69, I had him at 48. Now I did have Christian Kirk a little too high. George Pickens, ADP 57, I had him at 42. But there were a number of instances like that, so I feel pretty good about that. That's all. That's what it's all about. Is to be, am I in or out of the ADP? Am I going to be over the ADP or under? And then, based on how they produce, that's how I gauge whether or not I had a good year or not.
Right. He was the easiest round. He was going in the 9th round in Dynasty startups this year. He was just a free square, and I know Graham Barfield's best ball portfolio took a major hit with the Godwin injury. He and I have been commiserating together often on this. After we lost Rice as well, it's just been a bad break for best ball breakdown. I'll tell you that much. Cooley PG22 wants to know if you would drop Geno for Dak Prescott.
Yes, I would.
You would,
100%, 100%. They have, like, it sounds stupid to say it, but like guys, like they have too much to lose. Like they're not going to suck. Like they're going to get more competitive and they're going to be all right. Just like last year. This kind of happened last year. And then let's take a look at the schedule. Because I still like Jalen Tolbert. I have no idea about Brandon Cooks, but I still like Jalen Tolbert. I mean, this week's a little scary against the Niners. They killed them last year, and it's in San Fran. But as our guy Brent Whitefield has pointed out for a number of years, if you can protect against them, you can throw on them. Then you've got Atlanta, Philadelphia, Houston. That's a great run D. It's a challenging matchup a little bit, but a good pass rush. DC, Giants, Cincy, Carolina, Tampa, Philly. They're going to do better. Dak and the Cowboys, Lamb, trade for them all. Ferguson, trade for them all. They're going to be more than fine.
Right, and last year they also had a Week 7 bye. Last year they did get a bad Chargers team before heading into the bye that kind of spiked Dak Prescott, but after the bye in 4-point passing touchdown leagues, 28 points, 37, 16, 32, 28. The bye week can kick this off for Dak. I think you are 100% correct.
Well, I did call it last year. In the trade article. I begged people to trade for Dak, and he was the QB1 from that point on.
Love that. From interesting factoids, I got to be wary of YouTube channels like that because I will be on them for 6 straight hours. PPR League, trade McLaurin for James Cook.
I don't know about that because our guy Ray Davis, man, is coming on. And my contention in the preseason, if you read it or heard it, was that I think he can carve out a pretty healthy role, like a 60-40 deal. And I thought that their styles were, somewhat contrasting, with Ray Davis being more of that downhill guy, and Cook being more of the outside zone guy. So I would not do that. I don't love that. I don't feel warm and fuzzy about Cook. There's some health concerns recently, and again, Ray Davis is, he's just too good, and Cook's not a big guy, so they got to work in somebody else.
I agree.
Let's get one where you disagree, though. Every once in a while, just for a goof. So you know what? You don't know what the hell you're talking about.
We'll get there for sure. Chicago D drop Christian Watson for Rashad Bateman in a 10-team half-point PPR.
And you are the Ravens stan. I was actually in on Bateman this year. Not that I'm proud of it, but I was like, you know what? I mean, his freaking ADP is like 200, and he is good. But no, I'd probably rather cling to the upside of Watson and the chance that he starts getting on a roll than deal with the week-to-week nature of Bateman. Maybe he continues to come on here and gets at least 5 targets a game and, one downfield play a game. But nah, I'd probably stick with Watson. What do you think?
I think there are 2 peas in the same pod. I think they're the same archetype of player, but even with Lamar being the MVP right now, I would say Watson has better touchdown equity with Jordan Love on a week-to-week basis than Bateman. Bateman's got a career high in touchdowns already, which says something, but his blow-up games are not to the level of Christian Watson's. And I am not a Watson guy. I have been arguing with Ryan Heath about Watson now for 2 years.
Yeah.
And now that I'm starting to feel like there's a victory involved, I just have this weird feeling he's going to do his thing. I just
might
feel
be right.
that coming.
I see Bateman here. His ADP was, oh, wow. I was actually, I was going to say I was below ADP. No, I was way over it. His ADP was freaking 211.
Well, he is an ass man guru.
Yeah. Oh, he is. Yeah. I had him. If you look at our cheat sheet, I had him marked as a target, and I had him at 167, which is a lot. I mean, that's 35 places over the ADP. Right next to him, by the way, who else I had as a target and 40 spots over his ADP? Not that he's killing it, but Wan'Dale Robinson, baby. Let's go.
I love me some Wario Robinson, literally saving some of my fantasy teams so far this year. Live Fast 56 says PPR trade Garrett Wilson for Khalil Shakir and Deontay Johnson.
Nah, I mean, no, I can't do it. Deontay's injury woes scare me a little bit. I mean, what if they could just completely unravel and don't trade? Nah, I'm not going to do it. I mean, Garrett Wilson's still a stud. And I think at the end of the day, like, he absolutely has to get, I would say he gets more support. I think Devontae Adams over the course of 2 months is better for Wilson.
I agree.
It's better for Wilson. Yeah.
Yeah, had Wilson not tried to catch a ball with his chest and have it bounce back into a Pittsburgh defender, we would be looking at Garrett Wilson a lot differently after the first week with Adams than we are now. I'm keeping Garrett Wilson. Also, I have this weird feeling that by the end of the year, Bryce Young is going to be back on the field. And if Deontay Johnson is still a Panther, no, thank you. I am way out. Sunset X Surfing wants to know if you should start one, Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Leggett, or do you go with the post-bye week rookie boom in Rome Odunze?
Ooh. I mean, there was a couple of times this recently where I thought, okay, Leggett, like looking all right, but he hadn't done crap. See here. Denver secondary is nasty. Although data looks good on Leggett, but the actual matchup is still a little scary against Denver. We'll see about Surtain. A little early for Pearsall. Yeah, I think I'm going Pearsall, though. I mean, he was out there a lot last week. Jennings, we don't know about. Yeah, I'm going Pearsall. I mean, he's got a, it's a big ask for him to kind of, handle all the nuances of starting and in this offense and all that. But he's a very, very smart guy. We love Ricky. I mean, we do love Ricky. I don't want to oversell him, but in this environment here, I'm going to go Ricky.
I did see that their healthiest wide receiver in San Francisco was shot 2 months ago, which is a kind of an insane statement. We have our first disagreement. I'm going to play Rome rookies after the bye week, and you're going to give me the Washington Commanders.
True.
Remember going into the bye week how hot Caleb Williams was in plus matchups? I don't think it's going to be the all Komet show. So you wanted a disagreement, Guru? We got one with Rome Odunze and Ricky Pearsall. I cannot wait for you to remind me why I was incorrect next week. As
Ricky's
has happened
scoring.
every time I've disagreed with you on this program this season, it has gone your way, not mine, which is why they call you the Guru.
That's part of that is like there is a dynamic with an interpersonal dynamic that there are some people, no matter how many questions they ask me, I can't get it right for them. And it's granted it's few, but then there are other people like Jeff Schaefer, my good friend, who is of course from the league. He created that show, and he is Larry David's right-hand man on Curb. I can't get it wrong for that dude for 15 years. It's like every time I get it right almost, but then again, there are others where I just can't get it right for him. So I don't know what that is, but there's something there. There really is.
It's funny because I tell people in our NFL Standard channel, which is where you need to be if you want to ask start-sit questions during the week. The Discord, you can get in the information, is on the website at fantasypoints.com. I tell them all the time when they're like, oh, you've really got that one right for me last week, Tom. I said, don't worry, save it, because a week from now, you're going to be wondering how I got it so wrong. So it's just kind of the nature of the beast within. Uncle Ted says, is Khalif Raymond the sneaky ad of the week with a potential no JMO?
Nah, I would think at least for this week. And look, Khalif Raymond is good. And he's been there. They love him. He's hung around. He's like a no-name guy, no frills, but he makes plays. I have to think, though, this is a Laporta game. I call me stubborn. The data looks good. They need, part of the problem, I believe, with Laporta has been simply a lack of volume. I mean, how many games did frickin' Jared Goff complete only 18 passes? Like every game, basically. I know they're not giving up a lot of data right now in their last 4, but that is and likely a function of who they've played. I'm going Laporta. I'm in on Laporta.
I like that, and I need that for my teams in the worst way. Andrew with the $4.99. Trade Bigsby for Nick Chubb in full PPR. Currently have Mason and Bucky as my RB1 and 2. Need a end game back. Would you trade Tank Bigsby for Nick Chubb?
No, I wouldn't. No, I would not. Because Chubb stepped right into that good role. He is Nick Chubb. Obviously, he's a little older and not as good as he used to be and explosive. We've got the cavalry is arriving in the form of a quarterback not named Watson. So I think the offense will be a little bit better. And Bigsby is still going to be a little game script dependent. I don't think they're going to go away from ETN when he's back. And they freaking like DeArnest. DeArnest goes to camp every year in Jacksonville. So, no, I would not do that. Thank you.
Well, he's asking if you should trade Bigsby and get Nick Chubb, which is what I'm
my bad, dog. Yeah, I don't know how. Yes. Just reverse everything I just said. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes, and it counts. Yes.
One of the things I noticed, it's really good. One of the things I noticed with Nick Chubb is he right away got targets. Like they had 3 targets this week, caught one of them all off that kind of play action, right? Check down scenario. But boy, if we get that from Nick Chubb, like where was this forever? And you're right. Now we get an offense, 11 carries last week. We expect that to go up. They do get Baltimore, but I agree. Tank Bigsby has rocks for hands. It's not great.
It's a good sell high right now.
Is going to come back. Great.
Tank,
perfect sell high.
Bigsby, he had his best game of the season in London last week. Like that's it. He's not beating that. So
100%. We have Greg wants to know the Muth or Tucker Craft.
the Muth is kind of on fire.
Is moderately okay.
Yeah. The Muse has a few embers sparkling a little bit. Perhaps it will lead to flame, but we're not there right away here. Let's take a look real quick at what the Giants are giving up. Not something that I've, woke up this morning. I'm like, oh, I got to check in on the Giants, see what they're giving up at the tight ends. But let's take a look here. 4 catch, not much. Yeah, not much. Nah. I'd go Kraft for the upside here. This Pittsburgh Giants game is not going to feature a lot of passing. How about Najee though? By the way, how about Najee?
Mhm.
I know it's boring. I know Scott Barrett and I had a big disagreement about him about a month ago, and I wrote, "Good luck figuring out the right side of this," because when Scott and I agree, we're 100% correct. When we are split, it's literally 50-50. But I think I'm going to win this one because even when it was dark 3-4 weeks ago with Najee Harris, how dark was it with Najee?
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God, this is a dark cloud. But what's he doing?
It's always dark before the dawn.
It is starting to come on now, isn't he? A little bit. And Russ opened things up a little bit. All of a sudden, Najee, hey, I know it's. Don't even watch the game. That's what I say. Don't watch. I used to say this all the time about quarterbacks. Start Aaron Brooks, but don't watch the game. Don't watch it. I would say start Najee. Don't watch the game because you'll be frustrated by the half. But it's Artie Smith, man. That's what they want to do. So my man is getting 18 to 22 carries, like if possible, every single week.
Mm-hmm. I totally, yeah. Najee he's been a buy for us, and now with the Market Report podcast for Dynasty, allowing everyone to get market updates, Najee has been a buy for us for weeks because of this. Now, guess what? The buy window it might be closed, unfortunately.
He did this last year too, by the way. It kind of reminds me of Dak a little bit. I started going out there in the trade article, like, you know what? I don't care, man. I'm sorry if he doesn't work out, but I think Najee is going to be pointing upward, and he was.
Yeah. Prime Picks wants to know Mahomes or Stafford this week.
Let's go with not Mahomes. No,
okay.
Let me seriously. No, I was kidding, but kidding, not kidding. I mean, Mahomes does kill the Raiders.
He does. And he might be mad after the media is saying how absolutely cooked he is. Apparently, there's been this guy named Tom Tipple on Dynasty Points that has been telling everyone to bench him for 6 straight weeks and to, move him down rankings. I believe the word is Patrick Mahomes might have heard this and realized that he's playing the Raiders and should go for 35.
Now, the problem is, honestly, I hear you, all that. If Cup goes, I am going Stafford.
Yeah, I agree.
Over Mahomes.
One last hurrah for the breakfast tandem.
Yeah,
Really.
They'll have to throw it a lot. I mean, that's what you want. Like they're going to throw it a lot. Now, that could get ugly, but Minnesota will do very well tomorrow night. They will. No doubt about it.
We have a trade question from John Vandegrift. Got a trade offer. He says, I get Watson, Jameson Williams, Jalen Warren, and he gives away Ramondre and Waddle. Wants us to know he does have Najee, and it is a 0.5 PPR.
No. Nah, I'm not doing that.
You're keeping Jameson, Warren, and...
Oh, wait. No. He's getting Watson, J-Mo.
Oh, right. Yep.
And he's giving away Waddle. Number one, Waddle, I'm not doing it just because Waddle has
just
a chance,
on
obviously.
Waddle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm not doing it.
Even though Ramondre has been worrisome, you're keeping Waddle.
Watson doesn't get targeted. Watson literally does not get targets. That's again, I'm being told in my ear that that's a problem for this fake football stuff that we do. It could change this week, of course, but like we can only go off of what we see. My man is not getting targeted. So
neither is Jameson Williams. I got faked into that fake breakout, that steroid-induced breakout in weeks 1 and 2. And then he immediately goes back to being a bum. All that gas, and he's still ass and not the metric. It is bad. I traded for him. I wrote him up in an article, and this is true fate coming back to bite me. Duncan wants to know Stroud.
I was in on JMO this year. I was in on him too. I was in.
I have been anti JMO since he got drafted because I don't like that archetype of player. That's why I was out on Worthy. Like I just don't like that type of player. And
right.
Plus injury.
I was out
all
on
that.
Worthy too. I was
He
out
had
on
2
Worthy
games.
Too.
They said, hey, running the offense through Jameson Williams doesn't go very well. Let's not do that anymore. And then now their offense is humming, and not so good. Now the suspension. I don't know what's going on. That guy's.
Is that a lock? The suspension hasn't been handed down? Officially?
Not officially yet. Still breaking from inside ESPN doors. So we'll see.
Gotcha.
But
I could text my guy
suspended,
Schefter and get the skinny, but I don't ever spread anything he tells me. Like I keep to myself, unfortunately. That's the problem. But I could text him right now and get the answer probably, but
that's might be just the ultimate flex, Guru.
Thank you.
Duncan needs to know, is it Stroud versus the Colts, Dak versus the Niners, or Caleb Williams versus Washington in a 6-point passing league?
Ooh, man. This is close. Very close. I think I'm going Dak. Coming off the bye. Higher scoring game, I'm sure. Caleb against DC, I get it. But, DC, by the way, I'm going to see if I'm wrong on this, but they actually have not been getting crushed lately. I think their run D is also vulnerable. But let me see here. Maybe I'm off on that, but I'm going to guess that they're giving up fewer than 250 passing yards a game in their last 4. Damn, did I get that right? 173. That's what I'm saying. They've given up 3 passing touchdowns in their last 4 games, and they're only giving up 174 passing yards a game. And part of it is a lack of volume because they're only seeing 24 damn attempts a game. So what does that tell us? If we went over and looked at the matchup for DeAndre Swift, I would guess that the DC Commandos are giving up like 125 running back rushing yards per game. That's what I'm going to guess, right? I swear to God, I got no idea. Let's take a look. I'm going to say 125 rushing yards per game in their last 4 to opposing running backs. Could be more. 125. Let's take a look. Calling it up now. 123, baby. Let's go. Look at that. Come on. Completely off the top of my head, 5.2 yards a carry. So there you go. DeAndre Swift game.
You're just flexing now. That's how locked in the Guru is in week 8.
It's locked in. It's algorithms.
Phenomenal. JP from the 510 says Christian Kirk, Shakir, Ray Davison as flex for a full point PPR.
Yeah, I'm going Kirk. I'm going to go Kirk there. Again, I got them wrong last week because they didn't throw the damn ball, but they're going to have no choice but to throw it against Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. So I like Kirk. Kirk's good. He just doesn't get targeted, but he's good. And I've always loved him because he is very predictable. And honestly, that's why I like him more than anything. He is very predictable, but he's good. Doesn't do it every week. Thomas is kind of, taken away from him. Lawrence loves Ingram. So we got to deal with all that. So he's only like the 3rd option. But when they throw it, could you throw it freaking 30 times or more? That's not too much to ask. But they were 33% lower under that threshold last week. That's why Kirk didn't do anything.
Right. And you got to think you paid this man so much money. Why aren't you using him? But this is the world, unfortunately, we're living in. So
he had 3 good
unfortunately, this is
games.
what it is.
Going into last week, he had been good for 3 straight games before that. So, yeah, I still like him. He's another guy that I interviewed, seems like a while ago now, but he's a good dude. Good dude. Liked him.
Armando Rodriguez says, need 2 PPR, Skinny Batman, Tyrone Tracy Jr. Wow. Tyrone Tracy Jr., Bucky Irving, or Tank Dell.
Skinny Batman. You can comment on Tracy. You are the Tracy. He did look good again last week.
He did, and he had the bulk of the workload, but I'm concerned with just how bad that offense is. I think I want the running back if the other one's not around. But that offense, like you've been saying, the left tackle, that's been a big deal.
Right,
and
right.
the
Pittsburgh's tough
offense
to run
is
on
just
this year.
bad.
Yeah. Let's see here. They are giving up catches to running backs. What's your confidence level in him? He's getting 3 targets a game in his last 4, and he's catching most of them and doing all right. But they're only giving up 3.6 yards a carry. What about Bucky?
I love good. Bucky Irving. I would play Bucky over Tracy. So for Tyrone Tracy, he had the game against Cincinnati where he had 6 catches for 57 yards. He also had 17 carries for 50 yards. As soon as Singletary came back, Tyrone Tracy in a matchup where they could have used them, he had 9 touches, and now he gets Pittsburgh. So I'm a little weary. I am a little bit more in on the better offense. If I'm playing a running back, it would be Bucky.
Yeah, I agree. 9 carries for 44 in that first matchup, and he caught 2 balls. By the way, he's doing, and again, this is another guy I did not give enough love to, so that's another one I didn't get correct. But he's a pretty good receiver now. I was shocked. He made some nice plays. So definitely, you never know with some of these guys. I've been saying this for a long time. Like there are certain players, for whatever reason, for me, in terms of my filtering, that I just don't know. And sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. There are some players like, I'm in, that's it. I've seen enough. He's good, blah, blah, blah. But then there were other players that I got to see it in the preseason against NFL players like rookies. There are some players I just don't know. And oftentimes I do find the answer in the preseason. So that helps. But not in the case of Bucky Irving. Maybe I ignored him or didn't pay enough attention. But I definitely, there was a blind spot there. To me, he was a guy who could have went either way in this environment, and definitely got that one wrong.
I mean, it does happen. No one bats 1,000. Carbon Fry says he needs help. My team is in shambles. Welcome. Trade question. Full point PPR. Would you trade Jameson Williams and Kincaid for Laporta and Jerry Jeudy?
Jameson Williams. Nah, I can't do it. I mean, it's not. So you're trading Kincaid, giving up on that one underachiever for another one in Laporta and a career underachiever. No, I can't do that. No, sir.
At least with Kincaid, he's getting more than like 6 or 7 targets a game and underachieving. Laporta's just not even seeing the ball. It's depressing.
No, I think Laporta is going to heat up. I get it. I really do. But I mean, maybe Kincaid too. Probably not. But no, I'm still not going to do it because Jeudy. Come on, Jeudy. Yeah, no. I know. Winston targeted Jeudy a lot. I can't do it. But you know what? We need to run here because this is turning into an afternoon broadcast here on the East Coast, and I have other things to do. Can we get a few more rapid fires?
100% we can. At
the very least, I will say I hope I am drawing people away from their corporate jobs. So we're wasting U.S. corporate dollars, which I'm all for. So proud of you out there if you are watching this in lieu of working for a large corporation, because I love anytime I could take money from large corporations, I'm all about it.
I love it. Hey, you're the fantasy football Robin Hood, taking from the rich and giving back to the less fortunate. So there we go. I love that. Josh Coons wants to know Mason, Dell, Skinny B, or Jawan Jennings in his flex in a 0.5 PPR league.
Well, Mason against the Cowboys should do very well, and then
Yes.
Skinny B. And we don't know about Jennings, but Skinny B and Mason all day. Sleep like a baby.
Agreed. We have Nick dropping the 10. Much love and appreciation to you. Guru
Thank you, Nick.
PPR two-parter is what I'm reading from that. I only have one running back in Jacobs right now. Need to splash. I have Tyreek and Kelsey, who was offered Achan Judy for my Njoku Mooney and Henry Jennings for my Jacobs Tyreek. Would you do this?
All right, let's break this down here. He only has one running back in Jacobs. He has Tyreek and Kelsey. He was offered Achan and Judy for Njoku and Mooney. So you have you wait a second. Does he have Njoku now? Right? He has Njoku now. So you have Kelsey and Njoku, right?
I believe that's how this is being phrased.
Yeah. I guess can you start two tight ends?
Right.
I would think so. I would think you can. So you have Tyreek and Kelsey. Achan helps. So you're
Ryan
giving
Heath
up
is
one-
touting him as the ultimate buy low league winning running back when Tua
Yeah.
comes back.
I actually put him in my trade article last night as well without seeing anybody's thoughts on it as well. So that's always a good sign. I think I would, because obviously you could probably start Njoku, but in a non-tight end spot, you already have a tight end. So I'm okay moving on from Njoku. And look, let's a kind of a throwaway receiver, let's be honest, and Mooney to get that running back. I mean, let's not forget, as I wrote in the article, like HM was the RB2 after the first two games. So 2 full games with Tua, the guy was killing it. So yeah, I'll do it. And then, Henry and Jawan Jennings, I assume. Wow, for Jacobs and Tyreek.
See, this is the problem for me. You only have one running back, and now you're going to trade a running back for a running back, and then trade the better receiver for Jennings. This is the one I'm not doing.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. That was my instinct
Tyreek
as well.
I mean, if we're buying a Dolphin, it's Tyreek, right? Like, he's going to go absolutely insane. I will add, though, to this, Njoku, I think, outscores Kelsey for the rest of the way, in my opinion.
I mean, that could happen. Totally.
Can you trade
That
Kelsey off name value and potential alone to get more? Then I would just rather trade him and keep Njoku. So I think that's an avenue that you might be able to explore. What do you say about one more question, Guru, and we get out of here?
Yeah. My stomach is currently eating itself right now.
I have a pipe that I know in my crawl space has water coming out of it. So I am too very anxious to see what awaits me as soon as we get off the air. Dan Casey,
don't mess with water.
Dan Casey wants to know if he should trade Bigsby, and if he can, what is the type of wide receiver you would target, and Olave perhaps?
I think Olave is a pretty good trade for guy right now. Obviously, the value down a little bit. Yes, you should trade Bigsby. If you can get Olave for Bixby, that is a damn good fetch. Deontay, but that's about. I mean, that's a little up there in terms of the ROI, but I think it's viable. Obviously, you're selling high. Part of that is the people with that Bigsby game in their mind, fresh in their mind. Let me find another guy that would be a good Bigsby guy. Can I interest you in a little Jameson Williams? No, just kidding.
No. No.
Diggs, Steph Diggs. That's not bad. Let's see here. I mean, no one on the Chargers just yet. I mean, maybe McConkey, but he's not getting enough action. You know what's an interesting one is Jordan Addison. Remember him? You know,
Yes.
he's good. I like that. I think maybe the addition of Hawkinson will open things up a little bit. I like that. I mean, that's a little bit of a not as good of a deal as Olave would be. Let's see here. One more. Skinny Batman's a great one.
Yes.
If you could pull that off.
Do you?
Hell, I mean, Juwan Jennings would be a good one.
Yes, especially if you can get a little plus on top.
Yeah. That's about it. I think that's about it.
Yep, I agree. The way I look at it is there a struggling wide receiver that we know is good at football? Great. I want him on my roster. So if I could move a stone hands running back that has Travis Etienne coming back for the pass role, yeah, get him out of here. He is a classic sell high. Like you mentioned earlier on the show, Guru, do you want to ride us out here?
Yeah, well, it's been almost 2 hours here. I always like to over deliver. I'm sure some people would disagree with that, but yeah, we're in this chair for a while. So for Thomas, who's got a pipe issue, a leaking pipe, lay that pipe, Thomas, lay that pipe. I'm John Hansen. This has been Hansen's Hints, and we're talking plumbing here. Don't get your mind in the gutter. And this is a wrap-a-roni for this week. We'll catch you next time here at FantasyPoints.com.
What? Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.